make sure to capitalize on those. All right, so why is this multimedia important? Well, when you look at these different platforms like Apple CarPlay, statistically speaking, 77% of Toyota owners have an iPhone. So Apple CarPlay is going to be pretty important to about 77% of our owners. And Android Auto, while less Toyota owners have Android phones, they make up about 54.2% market share in the United States. So over half the phones out on the market are Android phones. So Android Auto is going to be important to those customers. And then, of course, Alexa plus Toyota, there are 112 million Americans that have an Amazon Prime subscription. So that's, almost 1/3 of the population of the U.S. have an Amazon Prime subscription. So they can utilize the Alexa plus Toyota. So let's take a look at Apple CarPlay and what is that. So all these different platforms are just a way for you to use your vehicle now the same way you would use your phone or even your Alexa device in your home. So they basically take over the multimedia system or the touch screen. So when they are operating, you're not able to have Bluetooth connected to some other device. It's basically your phone is going to take over the screen. The screen is just going to be something that will be a monitor or just display what your phone is doing. Currently, the Apple CarPlay app suite contains about 39 different apps. So those are, and I'll show you a little bit about what apps are available, but those range anywhere from navigation to text, music, and phone calls. And it basically gives the user the same functionality that they would have on their phone. So here's just a screenshot of some of the apps available. There are 12 different navigation apps, things like Waze, Google Maps, Apple Maps, of course, and there's even Chinese apps that for navigation. So depending on the language, some of your customers may prefer those. And then you have Apple News and podcasts, audiobooks, a lot of music apps like Spotify, iHeartRadio. You also have Amazon Music. So if you have an Amazon Prime subscription, you can use that also, even SiriusXM. So it doesn't matter really what you're looking for. There are a lot of different apps available in the CarPlay suite that customers will be able to utilize. So how do you use it? And this is something that is fairly simple to do. It's probably the easiest of the three to set up. But when you look at the latest J.D. Powers initial quality surveys that we got for this year, Toyota dropped way down the industry, and there are 7 different areas where we scored poorly. One of them was for Apple CarPlay. Customers didn't know how it worked or couldn't get it to set up. And the thing that's a little bit frustrating there is, well, it works the same in a Toyota as it does in a Honda or a Dodge or a Hyundai. You basically plug the phone in, and that's about it. But one of the things you do, though, is you do have to plug the phone into the USB port, and it's the media USB port. So a lot of our cars now are coming with up to 5 different USB connections. All of them will be capable of charging a phone or some mobile device, but only one will be the multimedia input or audio input. And that is usually the one located somewhere in the center console, up right under the dash. And it will be labeled as such. You do want to use an approved Apple cable, lightning cable, simply because some of the cheaper cables that you'll get maybe from Amazon or at a store, while they may be good to charge your phone, they may not be sufficient to carry the data required to make CarPlay work. And it may give you an error or just not show up at all. And the other thing that is required is customers must have an iPhone 5 or higher. Now, there may be a few people out there with still an iPhone 4 or 4S, but those are not capable of broadcasting Apple CarPlay. So after you've tethered your phone, all you have to do is go into the Setup menu under the General Settings and just make sure Apple CarPlay is on. It should be from the factory. Now, there are those occasional vehicles we've come across that it has been turned off for some reason, but typically it will be on as a default setting, but just double check it to make sure. The only other thing you do once you plug your phone in is you'll get a pop-up on the screen of your phone that asks if you will allow CarPlay to operate when your iPhone is locked. Just hit allow, and that's it. That's all you have to do. You'll get a pop-up on the screen. It'll ask if you want to always enable the CarPlay settings, and you just select always enable. And then you'll see the CarPlay app or tile there on the screen of your vehicle. So that is all you have to do. Basically plug your phone in, go ahead and hit the allow on your phone, and then Apple CarPlay should be up and running. Now that's the most complicated part, because after that initial setup process, the only thing you'll have to do is plug your phone in. CarPlay will come up automatically on the screen, and it will basically look like this. So you'll have all your apps in the app suite there on the screen, and you can swipe sideways just like your phone to go to the next page of apps. And the last 3 used apps will be on the very left side of the screen, right above the time, and you can toggle between those quickly as well. While maybe you're using Waze or Apple Maps, those 3 last used apps will still be visible on the left side of the screen. There's a great customer-facing article on Engage. So it basically gives you an overview of how CarPlay works, how to set it up, and how to use it. So if your customers have any question, that's something that you could print out and give to them, or you could even email to them if they prefer, kind of a touchless process. Now let's switch over to Android Auto. So this is basically the Android version of Apple CarPlay. It essentially does the same thing. It is slightly different in the setup process. Has a lot more apps. You can see it contains over 270 different apps in the Android Auto suite. But again, it is something that will take over the touchscreen and gives users the same functionality as they would get on their phone. And here's just a glimpse of a few of the apps available on the App Store. So there's even Facebook Messenger, all kinds of different communication apps like WhatsApp, a lot of different music apps. So just like CarPlay, but just more of them. How do you get started? While it's not difficult, there are a few more steps involved with Android Auto. The first thing that's different is you have to download the Android Auto app to your phone. So it doesn't come with the phone. It is something you would have to download off the Google Play Store. Once you do that, you launch the app, and it'll go through a kind of a setup process. You'll just hit get started, and it'll ask you to review some permissions. So this is basically Google asking if they can have permission to manage your phone calls. So when you get a phone call, you can answer it through Android Auto. Also access the vehicle's location. If you're using a navigation app, you got to know where the vehicle is located or where your phone's located. So you're just going to allow all these different permissions, or deny if there's certain features maybe you don't want enabled, but it'll ask you about if you would like to have your text messages allowed, if you want to access your calendar, record audio, your contacts, so things like that. And then once you're completed, you'll just hit the continue button after all the permissions are either granted or denied. And then you'll just allow the notifications. So they just want to access your notifications. So through Android Auto, it can send notifications to you on the screen. And after that, you'll just hit continue and turn on the auto launch function. So what you're doing there is when you plug in your phone and to the vehicle starts up, it will automatically launch into Android Auto. So you don't have to hit anything to launch that. And then that's it. You hit got it, and you plug it into the vehicle's USB port. Now there's one other crucial thing that you must do, and that is you've got to pair your phone via Bluetooth. So this is different from CarPlay. While you do have to tether both CarPlay and Android Auto, only Android Auto requires you also to pair your phone via Bluetooth in order to operate. So one other step you got to do versus CarPlay, but it's something that most customers are probably going to do anyway, is pair their phone. But in the end, when it's all connected, it'll prompt on the display to enable Android Auto. It'll just say turn on, and then Android Auto will pop up as one of the tiles on your app screen, just like CarPlay would. So they both pretty much do the same thing. It's just there are a few more steps with Android Auto that you'll have to complete in order to get it registered. But again, that's only initially the first time a customer uses it. After that, all they do is get in the vehicle, start it up, plug in their phone to the USB port, and it should pop right up. So fairly simple in terms of the functionality beyond the initial setup period. And while it'll look very similar to CarPlay, it just has your apps listed there on the screen, and you don't scroll sideways on Android Auto. You will scroll up and down to get to all your other available apps. And just a side note, the apps that will display within the CarPlay or Android Auto app suite are only going to be apps that you have downloaded to your phone. So don't expect all 270 some apps to pop up on Android Auto. It's only the apps that you have downloaded and you use. So make sure your customers understand how to go ahead and activate these or do the setup process, because this is something that they're going to want to use. I mean, this is something that your competitors have, and it's certainly an area where we have scored poorly with the J.D. Power initial quality survey. And it's, you know, like I said, it's a little bit strange because it works the same in every other car as it does a Toyota. So while you'll see Dodge score the best in initial quality, well, CarPlay and Android Auto works the same in a Dodge as it does a Toyota. So we just got to make sure our customers understand how these work. And again, another consumer-facing article that you can print out or email to your customer on how Android Auto works, with screenshots of every single screen during the setup process, so they can just follow along step by step. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and kick it over to Brian so he can talk about Amazon Alexa.
Okay, thanks, Jeremy. So as Jeremy mentioned earlier, there are a lot of people who have Amazon Alexa enabled devices. So if you have an Echo, if you have a Echo Show, Echo Dot, Amazon practically gives these things away. So many people have multiple Echoes in their home, and they're used to using that Alexa command to do a number of things. You know, play music, place phone calls, get news, weather, even control home devices like turn on lights, adjust temperature, things like that. So as people get more and more comfortable with these Bluetooth-enabled assistants, Amazon Alexa is just going to be more and more popular. So we started integrating it into our vehicles when we started putting CarPlay in Toyotas. So a couple model years now, but it's not a very widely used technology in the vehicle. And I think because customers may not realize it's available, and it's a little more involved with the setup, more so than CarPlay or Android Auto. So what it does in a Toyota is the app actually brings Alexa into your vehicle, so it actually integrates the Alexa voice system and kind of substitutes it for the one that's built into the vehicle. You use it wirelessly via Bluetooth from your phone, and it uses a cloud connection for the voice activation. Well, let's talk about how we get this to work. So the way we operate Alexa in the Toyota is we add the Toyota Plus Alexa skill to our Amazon account, and we use the Toyota Plus Alexa app to do that. So we must actually download the Toyota Plus Alexa app, in this case off the App Store, or for an Android phone off Google Play. And then additionally, you do have to have the Entune 3.0 app on your phone as well. So this is another thing that makes it a little more involved and a little different than, you know, the CarPlay or Android Auto. We do require the Entune 3.0 app for the Toyota Plus Alexa skill to work. So both those apps need to be downloaded to the phone. And then it's a basic setup process where you hit get started, and then basically you log in or sign into your Amazon account and add this device or this app essentially to your account. So there's a process to enable permissions. And again, you want to hit either don't allow or OK for the different permissions, for example, for recording audio, course, device location you will probably want to use or say always allow or allow while using the app so that it can do things like get your local weather or give you directions and things like that. So again, similar to setting up Android Auto, it's going to ask you for certain permissions, and typically the customer will say allow for these. So at the end, they give you a little tutorial on how to connect the device and also how to talk to Alexa. So some tips on what you can say and how you could use it. And you also have to pair the phone with Bluetooth. So again, Jeremy said this, most people will pair their phone for Bluetooth anyway, in case their phone's not tethered for CarPlay or Android Auto. So that is part of the process. And then Toyota Plus Alexa will show up in the Entune App Suite portion of the touchscreen menu. So a little bit different location than CarPlay and Android Auto, which show up on the home screen or the apps menu. This is within the Entune App Suite. So all you have to do is touch that Toyota Plus Alexa icon, and then you have a couple options here. You can toggle the hands-free listening on and off. Typically, you'd want it on so that you don't have to press the button before you give a command. You can just say, say the Alexa word, and it'll automatically activate and ask you what you want to do. So if you hit the Ask Alexa button, it'll give you, again, sort of prompts on what you can do, things to try. For example, say Alexa play music, or even a specific song or artist, ask about weather, ask about your commute. So anything you would typically do through Alexa on your smartphone, you can also do through this vehicle interface. And that does include operating devices that are controlled by your Alexa unit at home. So many people have the smart light controls that can turn lights on or off, or even thermostats that also are controlled via Alexa devices. It seems like every electronic device has some sort of smart assistant integration, and Alexa is the most common one. So from your vehicle, you can do things like tell Alexa to open your garage, or to turn on the lights or set the temperature. So it's a really cool integration of home control through your vehicle that hasn't been available in the past. If you've been watching TV lately, I've noticed quite a few Buick commercials where they highlight the fact that those new Buicks come with Alexa, and they actually call the vehicle an Alexa. So hopefully that sort of advertising will make people more aware of the technology integration in the cars, and you'll get more people asking about it, and the Toyotas are aware of it when you tell them that the vehicles come with Toyota Plus Alexa. So it's pretty much standard with the package that includes CarPlay and Android Auto, so you should definitely mention it. A majority of your customers may have Alexa devices already and would be happy to integrate the Toyota Plus Alexa skill to their account. So just like the other technologies, there's a nice two-page customer-facing article that talks about what the Toyota Plus Alexa skill is, what it does, and actually how to set it up for the different phones, both for Android and for iPhone. So that's very helpful. Again, these things are all great to have printed out, available to give to customers, but also very easy as PDFs to email, as follow-up or as part of a pre-delivery of the vehicle. So there are additional resources. There's a new reference guide that we're including with the vehicles in the glove box. It's called the five-fold because it kind of folds into 5 different layers there. And it includes references to everything from Bluetooth to connected services, but also CarPlay, Android Auto, and Amazon Plus Alexa on the other side. So all of the key touch points that are kind of crucial for us getting better J.D. Power initial quality scores. It's a great thing to review with your customers. It's basically how to get their phone integrated with the vehicle seamlessly initially right upon the purchase. So this should answer their questions as far as setup. And then if they need more detail or they need more reference, those customer-facing articles that we showed you earlier, they're available on Engage, and those are a good thing to give them as well. Of course, if they're more the type that likes to watch a video rather than read a reference guide or a manual, we have all the videos on the Toyota USA YouTube channel that explain each one of these, how to set them up and how to use them. So make sure you utilize those as well. It's easy to send links to those videos via text or email to your customers. So just to kind of sum up, customers are looking for these technologies. They want to integrate their smartphone into their vehicle because they have their smartphone with them all the time and they use it for their everyday life. So the more it integrates seamlessly with the vehicle, the more satisfied they are with the technologies. But we need to explain how to do the initial setup and what the vehicles come with as standard equipment. But keep in mind, all of these platforms work the same in all of our Toyotas, but also all of our competitors' vehicles. So it shouldn't be any different as far as customer satisfaction between the manufacturers with the technologies. They work the same. And they are pretty much standard in all Toyotas, all new Toyotas these days. And while there's a little bit of setup required initially, once that's done, they're very easy to use. They typically just require plugging in or just using the proper command to start using them.